So what detachment did you start at?
Toronto.
As in Downsview?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So we went to the same, we were at Downsview, but years apart.
What year was that?
It was 1989 that I started. And that was the 15th year that women were in policing. Which year did you start?
I was born in 86, so started 09. Hi, my name is Ahmed Mohamed, and I am the superintendent here within the uniform recruitment section within the Ontario Provincial Police. I'm here, joined with me today,
Brooke Chambers. Hi, I am a former police officer with the OPPA, and my current role is a community mental health advisor with the Pause Technologies.
So today we're going to be discussing a variety of different topics, but more importantly, A.B.L.E and the OPPA, along with the OPPA, have partnered up to host the 32nd annual scholarship gala, which is being held November 16th at the Casino Rama Entertainment Center. Please go online, buy tickets, tables, anything you can to support this monumentous collaboration between the OPPA and A.B.L.E.
So what made you become a police officer?
It was through life experiences. So for me, it was growing up where I grew up in Etobicoke. And I'll even backtrack it to that. Immigrating to Canada with my parents, policing wasn't anything that was looked upon as a noble profession. So immigrating to Canada at the age of 4, growing up in the environment which I grew up in, it was always negative interactions with the police. It was just based on the environment that you work in. That you lived in. So it was huge into sports. So my dad tried to keep my brother and I busy in activities. And for about 6 years, I had a coach. I had a football coach. Never knew he was a police officer. And I think he never told us he was a police officer, just based on we sometimes relate to practice. Why we relate to practice? It was because an interaction occurred. So him not wanting to lose us as athletes, he never shared it with us what he did. And then until after the fact that we were graduating and going into high school, it was when he told us he was a police officer. And that was a shift where here's somebody that treated us with respect, did not really and truly care about the color that looked on our skin. The impact that he had on my life growing up, it was kind of like, I can make that difference. And I said, I'll go through the process. I'll see how it works. It might not work out. And then applying to 2 different services, got on with both. And then it was like, okay, I got to make a decision now. What do I want to do? And then I chose the OPP.
Now I have some more questions. Okay. Because now I'm curious, first of all, what country did you come from?
So born in Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we came here when I was 4.
And when you say you lived in Toronto, what area of Toronto did you live in?
So Kipling and Dixon area.
Oh, Kipling and Dixon. Okay.
Yeah.
So would you consider the area you lived in a little bit of a rough area where it was heavily policed?
Correct.
Okay.
Heavily policed.
Yeah.
Interactions were being detained, being put in the backseat of police cruisers. One vivid experience of being put in the backseat of a cruiser, getting dropped off at another neighboring area, and then getting told to walk home.
And this happened to you specifically,
Correct.
Not just other people?
Nope, me specifically.
It happened to you. That's awful that happened, obviously.
Yep.
And I could totally understand why you would never want to be a police officer. So the police officer that was your coach and the fact that he didn't tell you was a good thing, probably at that moment.
At that time it was, because I think if based on the demographics of the team, we were all around the same age. We all had similar experiences with police growing up. If he told us, I think we would have left the team.
Yeah.
We would have stopped playing. So it was a blessing in the sense that he he made that conscious decision of not sharing with us what he did. And the time when he did share with us, it was how he delivered it. And like, I still remember till this day, we didn't believe it. We thought he was playing with us. We're like, there's no way, because he was just like us.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, not seeing him for being an individual in that uniform made the difference. He was our coach. So I thank him for that, because I think if it wasn't the right time of when he shared that with us, I think I wouldn't be here today.
Well, that's an amazing story, how you came full circle to being here right now and being at the level that you're at, and that you excel in policing. Clearly, anybody who wears a white shirt has done well. And for the time period that you're saying that you started, it's, certainly commendable. And there obviously is something that you really like about policing.
Starting my 16th year in policing right now, I've been fortunate and blessed. I've had great mentors, individuals who have guided me to be where I am today. But I think it's not being able to lose yourself. I get told a lot that I haven't changed, and it's regardless of white shirt or dark shirt, it's how you treat somebody that really truly goes a long way. And I'm here, and my success is really the success of the people that I work with. Like, my job now is more than ever to support the people to accomplish a task that's been placed on them.
So what has been your favorite role within policing in these 16 years?
I kind of miss frontline duties where you're interacting with members of the public, members of the community. So that's one thing where, when I came back into the uniform, because I spent majority of my career in the investigative side of the house, so it's not in uniform. So once I was able to come back into some of the frontline facing operations, being able to do some ride-alongs with frontline members, and just that interaction with the public, you miss it. You get that itch.
That's incredible. I'm so glad that you're telling me your story, because I feel like an opposite side to my story of how I came to the OPP and came into policing was like you, though. It was never a thought. I had all other aspirations because I was in sports like you. I love sports, love to play everything. But I'd say basketball, track in particular, and then somehow I got into bodybuilding before I became a police officer, and literally was on stage in a bikini. And I always said, how do you, I don't even know how I did that. It's crazy.
Like competing.
Yeah, like,
okay.
Okay. From the time I was 6 or 7 years old, I was training, because first I was a gymnast, competitive gymnast. Then I played soccer for a bit. And I feel like I've had amazing coaches throughout my life. And sport is sort of this place where young people go to learn life skills. You learn how to lose. You learn how to win. You learn how to show up. You learn how to be on time. You learn how to push your body to levels that you never think you could. So because I was in the gym and I was always training, I happened to meet Jay Hope, who was an officer here with the OPP. He was a staff sergeant at the time. He was in recruiting at the time.
Okay.
He was in the gym, Gold's Gym, downtown Toronto.
Okay.
I was at Gold's Gym, downtown Toronto, because I went to Ryerson. And I was an environmental health student, thinking I'm going to be an epidemiologist, right? Okay. Because I'm kind of science geek out. Like, I love looking in a microscope and learning about everything science. But while I'm looking under the microscope and I'm in this class of people and you're wearing like a white coat, I'm thinking, this is too boring for me. These organisms are too boring for me. So I'm working at the gym, as I do, you know, every afternoon. And J-Hope comes up to me while I'm doing a set of triceps. I remember it very well because I don't talk to people in the gym. I'm like, I don't have time for you.
You're in the zone.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you get it because you're an athlete.
Yeah.
You're in the zone. You're doing your set. And everyone always wanted to talk to me like, tell me how you got those muscles.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh, I don't have time.
Yeah.
You have to lift weights and you got to do it hard. And you got to do it for a long time. And Jay says to me, you know, you'd make a really good cop. And I look at him like, what a weird thing to say. And why are you talking to me right now? I don't have time for this. I got to get my workout done and go back to class.
Yeah.
But he says, here's my card. So I take this card, I put it in my bag, and I just carry on.
Yeah.
But that night, I think, that's a fascinating thing to say. Nobody's ever said that to me. Maybe I should look into this. So I sat on it for 2 or 3 days. And then I call him. Jay, it's Brooke from the gym. He goes, wow, yeah. You want to talk about it? I said, yes. So he says, I will come down to Ryerson. And we ended up talking for 4 hours about why I would want to be a police officer. And I think, this is fascinating. I never heard all this before. This guy is cool. He shows me some posters of himself. Look, I'm on some posters. You have this way of being when you walk in the room that I think you'd just be really good at this job. And Staff Sergeant J. Hope had said, you know, we don't have enough people of color in the police force. And not that that meant anything to me. It meant nothing to me, to be honest with you. I didn't really care. I didn't have a thought about it. I was just like, hey, I'm going to be a police officer. Sounds good to me. I didn't know what I was getting myself into at all. And we had CB radios. There was no technology. Nobody had a cell phone. That didn't exist. Like, you needed to, we had, you know, maps that you pull out and you read and you say, this is where I'm going.
I've heard of it.
You've heard of those, yeah. Okay, well, we used to keep those in our glove compartment.
Okay.
But the most important thing was you just had to know where you were going. So when someone said, you're going to this street, you had to know how to get there. So part of your job was to know exactly where you were going. You had to know the back alleys. And memorization of those places was important. And because I'm born in Toronto, grew up in Durham, but was always in Toronto because that's where my grandparents lived. I knew Toronto really well, knew Durham really well. So when they ask you, where do you want to go? I'm like, please send me to Toronto. But what I was told is that wasn't the place where most people wanted to go. They wanted to go somewhere else. So the one thing they told me was, I'm pretty sure you'll get Downsview. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Let me have Downsview.
Yeah.
So they gave me exactly what I wanted. You walk into the station, but when I walked in the station, no one wanted to coach me. Okay. So you know how they do coaching and you learn about how to coach people?
Yep.
That wasn't a thing. Nobody knew how to coach anybody. In fact, nobody wanted to coach anybody because you didn't get an extra pay to do it. And everyone felt, why do I want to do that? I'm not getting extra to do it. It's such a pain in the butt. And nobody wanted to coach me specifically. So this young man who'd been on the job 1.5 years, which probably isn't the best thing to do, decided to put up his hand and said, you know, I'll coach her. And I was like, this guy's my hero. Yeah. Because when you're around in the back offices with these really old desks, and I mean really old desks, you should watch a little TV and you'll see what those old desks look like. But what he did in that moment was take me on despite nobody wanting to take me on. And the other thing was, one of the things I loved to be was a high school liaison officer.
Okay.
So there was 2 high schools in Caledon at the time. And they had asked me to start up a program within the schools.
Okay.
And I was excited to do that. Now they said, we would like you to apply. This is what happened. We'd like you to apply. So of course I applied to it. And nobody else really wanted it.
Okay.
So it was me.
Okay.
And to me, it was the best thing to be with those kids. Because I was young still, so I could still imagine myself as a person in high school or remember it well. And then, just like you had a coach, I ended up coaching women's rugby team.
Okay.
And being an assistant, which was so much fun. And I loved it. And you'd have these conversations where young kids are led down the wrong path. So having police officers present that they get to know makes a difference, just like it made a difference to you, although you didn't find out till later. So I think community and police mean everything. Which is why A.B.L.E is literally the most important organization that I've been a part of with terms of policing.
So what part of your career, when did you get exposed to A.B.L.E?
While I was at Caledon, I believe.
Okay.
And again, it was J. Hope that called me and said, there's this organization that's starting.
Okay.
And it's for officers who are of color. In particular, what I remember hearing is we have to make a difference in policing for people of color. And we have to make that difference because we want to stop. We want to try and stop the racism that the community is getting, so being over-policed, which was what happened to you. And we also want people to recognize who are not police officers that it's an option for them to be a police officer. For them to think about it as it could be a career for you. Because what we all found was it was a good career for us, but it also was hard to be, and this, as a Black woman, it was hard for me to be a Black woman in a predominantly, in a male organization that was also white.
Fast tracking to when I got on, I heard about A.B.L.E. And I was like, what is A.B.L.E?
Right.
Right.
Of course.
So it was a sense of, for me, once it was introduced to me, because I am a member of A.B.L.E, it was more of that, having that space where you can, it's that safe spot where you can, some of the challenges, some of the things that you're going through, you can share that with others. So I have friends that are with almost, I'm going to say, numerous other services that are also part of A.B.L.E, and it's that safe spot where you can share some of the challenges that you're going through while also highlighting some of the success that you go through. And I don't think it, as much as the environment changes, I think it's some of the challenges that that you have experienced or that I've experienced, someone else has experienced it. So it's having that form where it's that safe spot. You'll get a lot of people that say why you need A.B.L.E, why you're an organization just for Black members, but really and truly it's creating that safe spot where people that look like you and I can share and discuss some of the challenges that we go through.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I saw it.
Yeah.
So then when the founders of A.B.L.E decided to, make this a formal organization, And they also decided to give scholarships away. When they did the scholarships, my understanding was that it's for students going into university and college who have an aim to be in law enforcement in some way, somehow, that have good grades, that are also community-minded people. And how many scholarships come in at this point in time, I don't know, but I remember the first year, we didn't have a lot of scholarships, but the people that we gave those scholarships to, oh my goodness, they're changing the world. Yeah. And one of those people that I was just like so impressed by, because she's in my head right now and is in my heart and has become a friend over time, is the A.B.L.E president, which is Jacqueline Edwards. So Jacqueline Edwards, from my recollection, was one of the first, if not the first, group of scholarship winners.
Okay.
So $3,500 is a lot of money, but here's what I realize. The money's important, but the recognition of being in front of a group of people and being acknowledged for your hard work means everything. And that you see Black people gathering together for good makes you like rise to the occasion. And you're like, I cannot fail. I gotta keep going. Yep. And I look at Jackie and say, oh my gosh, what a career she has had. And to be a scholarship winner, to then having a career in corrections, to now being the A.B.L.E president and being the first woman A.B.L.E president, she's done a remarkable job. And I got to see her do some of that. But as I said, she's not the only one. There's so many others.
No, I think it also ties into the organization being from the OPP's perspective, being able to give back to the community, youth within the community, being able to support them with their career goals, their ambition. And I think it just ties into hand in hand what A.B.L.E stands for, of that community engagement and being able to provide that support.
And honestly, it makes people think, hey, maybe I want to be a cop. Maybe I want to be in corrections. Maybe I want to be in immigration. Maybe, just maybe, this is for me. Because the one thing I can say about policing, it gave me my start to everything that I've done, everything that I am. Because, once a cop, sort of this feeling is inside you. So as much as I walk through the world, I never forget that experience. I never forget that I have a voice. I never forget that I can make change.
Did you feel like there were any repercussions of you being part of A.B.L.E? Because that's some of the misconception that people, or the narrative
I do
that's
not
out
feel
there.
that I had repercussions from being part of A.B.L.E. Because the repercussions were already there because I was Black. A.B.L.E didn't make it worse. What A.B.L.E did was make things better. So when I would talk to people, I'd say, wait a second here. Come to these meetings. It makes your life better to talk about these issues, because we're trying to build a bridge between police, between the Black community, and all communities, really, to be honest with you, to see us in a different light. So I think A.B.L.E brought all of that together. And we were the ones going out doing recruiting, literally going out there and doing career fairs, A.B.L.E career fairs every single year, all these different places. We were teaching the police how to go out and hire people of color. We were teaching them to do that. And then in that, the OPP had come to me many times, like, will you help us recruit? So there was posters of me. I would go out and do speaking engagements. Even before A.B.L.E actually happened, I was doing that. But then when A.B.L.E happened, I started doing more of that.
So what would you say was a turning point for, because you said 9 years is
Yeah,
what you joined
it
with
was
the OPP?
just shy of 9 years. Yeah.
So when did the pendulum switch of you thinking to yourself, I don't know, this is the profession for me anymore. This isn't, walk me through that a little bit.
Oh, well, my daughter is in this moment, she's 28 years old. So I had her when I was 27. So once I was pregnant, my hormones were not so good and I didn't have the best pregnancy at all. I gave birth and it was a very challenging time. I'm lucky that I survived the childbirth. I'm lucky my daughter survived her childbirth. My recovery was slow and tedious, and I had depression. So my brain was saying, you can't go back in the state that you're in. And I remember asking to work part-time because I thought maybe I could do that, but I was flatly out, absolutely not, and you have to go back out in the road. So before I had left, I was teaching in corrections. I was seconded to corrections and I was teaching over there, teaching correctional officers. We were doing some anti-racism training. That was what I could handle, like not wearing a uniform, because putting on a gun belt was not going to work for me, and working the hours that they were going to ask me to work were not going to work for me. So if the answer is no, and you're solid with your no, I was like, the only thing I can do is leave. I know things have changed a lot from when I was there, but I still see, and as you do, how things can still be better, right?
Yep.
And you're doing that, and that's so commendable.
Hearing your story and the challenges that you've kind of gone through. So my portfolio right now is uniform recruitment. So being in the position that I'm in, the lens that I look on all the files that come through my desk, I'm extremely humbled by the organization for allowing me to be in the position that I am in. But I think the lens and the experience, my life experiences, I think will allow me to be able to share that with my team, to try to have a fuller picture as applicants kind of go through the process.
Well, there's so many angles to look at people, right? And I do believe that in any sort of recruiting people do, people often want to hire people that are like them because it's human nature to do so. But if you study diversity, equity, inclusion, as I have, from an academic perspective, not just maybe your experience, diverse teams create greater knowledge. And people who you might think that's not the skill I was looking for, it actually might be a skill you're looking for, right?
It's differing perspectives.
That's
Everybody
right.
at that table will bring something unique and get you to think outside your box. So the OPP is hosting the 32nd annual Gala, November 16th, in partnership with the Ontario Police Association. So coming full circle, because it is the 32nd annual Gala, and you've been to numerous galas throughout your career, I'm assuming. You still go to them?
I go to them sometimes. I don't
Okay.
go to them all the time. But of course I'll be there.
You'll be there?
I will be there.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this is what was exciting.
Okay.
the first time, from my understanding, this is the first time the OPP and the OPPA are hosting the gala, which is why it's at Casino Rama.
Correct.
Which makes sense because we're close proximity to headquarters here. It's kind of surreal.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a full circle moment for me to be sitting here with you.
No, but I honestly think it's people like yourself that have gone through some of the challenges that paved it forward. And my position that I'm in now is just being able to pass that on to the people that are coming underneath me, and showcase and highlight some of the challenges, but also how to navigate around some of the difficult conversations or things that they're going through. So I want to say thank you for that as well.
You are welcome. Happy to be here. Happy to have had the conversation with you. You're doing great things, and just keep up the great work.
Appreciate it.